Hey, what's going on YouTube? It is Frank here from the Paleo Mama, and I wanted to hop on here and give you all some great knowledge and some good content about the ketogenic diet. It's a diet that a lot of people are kind of scared of. We started off with working with a paleo lifestyle, and we wanted to kind of break through some of the plateaus that we sort of naturally hit using the paleo diet. The paleo diet has been a wonderful diet. It has done stuff like it has managed a lot of the cardiovascular conditions that I have, as well as it's really helped us lose a significant amount of weight. But then we just kind of hit like a natural plateau, like as if you would when you ever start with any type of a diet. And so we wanted to find a breakthrough that was going to be able to be really useful for us. And so that's when we started diving into the autoimmune protocol, as well as even the ketogenic diet. And so the ketogenic diet is really what I like to call almost like a strict paleo diet. What you're doing is you're actually trying to take the body and put it into a state of ketosis, which is where your blood sugar is very low and you've used up all the stores of your blood sugar. And so therefore what you have to do is your body has to transition its metabolism over to fat burning. And by doing so, you end up losing weight, and there is quite a bit of medical conditions that are actually very, very treatable with the ketogenic diet. There are numerous studies, well in excess of 20 to 30 studies that I just pulled up really quick in reference to the ketogenic diet, as well as another concept that I'll talk to you about, which is called intermittent fasting. And so just to give you an idea about where I come from, I've been with Jackie now for coming up on 11 years actually this month. So happy anniversary to us, 17 days early. And so I just wanted to share with you that I am a certified physician assistant. I am not in practice because I am home full-time with my wife, but I also have picked up a degree, a master's in agricultural education. And so I'd love to talk to you about the whole sustainable agriculture piece and where to find whole quality foods and meat, and where to get whole quality, whole food, when it comes to your vegetables and even your fruits, if you want to do some fruits every once in a while when you're not on the ketogenic diet, and just really be able to look at everything in a very sustainable way and to be able to serve your your local and regional food systems. And so I am going to go through a really great document that my wife has already prepared, but I really want to talk to you about is really just the amount of times that we have been through the ketogenic diet. It's not a diet that we would ever recommend for you to stay on for a very long period of time. It's really great. It's sort of like a breakthrough diet, just to become like super strict in terms of stepping it up from paleo, break through some of those plateaus that you have. But long story short, you want to make sure that you're always eating right, that you always maintain some level of exercise, or at least daily movement, as well as ensuring that you are still eating whole foods and staying away from those processed and preservative-laden foods. And so we want to bring to you this way of introducing this low-carb, high-fat diet that actually has shown very, very good benefit with not only ourselves, but a lot of people who actually do with the ketogenic diet. So what exactly is the ketogenic diet, right? So ketogenic does, in fact, have the root word keto, which means that it is in a state, or the body will be in a state of making ketones. And the word is K-E-T-O-N-E-S, or excuse me, K-E-T-O-N-E, right? So ketones are these molecules that your body creates that act sort of like a sugar in the body, and your brain is able to actually work with them. So if you're ever in a state of, like, God forbid, you're in, starvation mode, you have crashed on an airplane and you survived, and now you have to go out and hunt for your water and your food. Well, you're going to be in a bit of a starvation mode after the first couple of days. With that being said, your body can generate ketones. Ketones are very capable of supplying the vital organs with the energy that they need, being that the brain is the largest organ that uses these ketones. By doing so in a controlled environment with something like the ketogenic diet, we are able to create these ketones and stay in this condition of ketosis, which means a condition of ketones being inside of the body. And so by maintaining a low carb, actually a very low carb, higher fat diet, we are able to maintain this ketosis in our body. And therefore, we are now going to start using more of a fat stores for energy rather than the quick sugars that we get from both the muscles as well as the big sugars that we get from the liver. The way the metabolism works, I got to tell you all that to tell you how metabolism naturally works in the body. So when we consume a regular diet, and when I'm going to say regular, I'm going to talk about, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, right? So when we're consuming a regular diet, we are automatically going to be getting simple and complex carbohydrates or simple and complex sugars. By doing so, your body doesn't have to necessarily do anything to that. I can just readily absorb those, maybe break them down to a little bit smaller, make it easier for the box cars, as we refer to it, to move everything into the muscles and then also into the liver. Now, in the liver, there's a really great capability of it creating this big glycogen protein, or excuse me, this glycogen branching complex. And what that does, that just means that your liver can really just store a lot of sugar. And so when you normally work out on an exercise regimen with a normal diet, your body is going to be able to burn the sugars in the muscles after about maybe the first 5 to 10 minutes. And then it'll start moving into the liver and start burning up the sugars in the liver. Normally, most of the time, science and metabolic studies have proven that, your liver can last a long time with those amount of sugars. And most people will be finished working out and they won't necessarily even really get into their fat stores until they're definitely beyond their workout. And so what ketosis does is your body is already low in normal stored sugar, and your body has to go to fat earlier in those particular exercises or just going about your day. And so therefore your fat is going to be converted into this substance and this molecule that will actually be able to be used for energy. So by being in ketones, we can actually, like I said earlier, support all of the various organs of the body, okay? It will actually help with the insulin sensitivity that we also have with our standard American diet, or what I'll refer to as the SAD diet. By making sure that our insulin is operating more optimally, then we will not have the issues with high states of blood sugar that we actually get with the SAD diet. And so there's been really, really good data that has been showing, the ability to really help those folks who are having issues with getting their blood sugars regulated in the normal range, that a diet like this can be actually very helpful. So there's 3 different types of the ketogenic diet, but you've got pretty much the only one that I'm going to really talk about a lot is going to be what they call the standard ketogenic diet, which is a very low carb, moderate protein, and a high fat diet. Percentage wise, we are looking at the macronutrients, so fat, protein, and carbohydrates. Those are called the macronutrients. We are looking at maybe 75% fat, 20% protein, and about 5% carbs. You have a cyclic ketogenic diet, which means that you do a higher carb refeed. You could have like 5 ketogenic style days, and then with like 2 high carb days. Could be more of your, elite athlete might be following something more like a cyclic ketogenic diet. And then you got a targeted ketogenic diet, which allows you to kind of add in carbohydrates in a very laser focused way around your workouts. And so I would offer to you that, it's pretty similar. Oh, there's actually one little kind of variant of the standard ketogenic diet, and that's called the high protein ketogenic diet. And that's actually similar to the ketogenic diet standard, but it just simply includes more protein. So what you do is you actually increase your protein to about 35%, you decrease your fat down to 60, and then you still maintain around 5% carbs. Needless to say, the regular standard ketogenic diet is what we're going to mainly talk about in this video today. Okay? How can ketogenic diets actually help you lose weight? Well, it actually helps with what we call metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome is a series of, I've seen as few as 3 and I've seen as high as 7. So I'll just say about 5 to 6 different values. These are objective values that we can actually measure, whether it be through blood work or a body waist circumference measurement. And then some of the other kind of BMI, like your body mass index indicators. You can actually determine what somebody's cardiovascular risk may be. And so by losing weight, what we are doing is we're helping with our metabolic syndrome because weight and also our body habitus or our body size plays into a big consideration with the metabolic syndrome. So what we need to do is realize, first and foremost, there's quite a bit of data out there that says that the ketogenic diet is superior to a low-fat diet. I don't know about you, but I remember back in the 1980s, even the 1990s, we had the low-fat diet, like just came out like gangbusters, right? Like everything went low-fat, like low-fat this, low-fat that. Make sure that you're not eating eggs and all these different types of things. And really what ended up happening is that we started eating cardboard. And so like literally this food tasted terrible and bland and just we didn't like it. So what did manufacturers do? Let's start putting sugar in things, right? It's low fat because it's sugar. And so we come to find out, fast forward now 20, 25 years later, that adding processed sugar and added sugars, obviously those sugars get converted now, as we know, into fats and you end up gaining weight anyway. And so therefore the ketogenic diet is going to be superior to any low fat diet because usually when you're focused on a low fat diet, you're going to still not focus on sugars. And so therefore you're going to notice that you're still going to either maintain or even gain weight on a low fat diet. The other thing is that we love not having to count calories. I tell you folks, I can't stand the having to determine, am I around my 2000? Am I not around my 2000? I hate dealing with that. I live with Jackie as a pretty active lifestyle. We're a couple of farmers in Western North Carolina. So I would offer to you that we definitely get around. Some days are harder than others. A lot of days we're just kind of like maintaining things, but any moment we can get out and move around, okay? Needless to say, we are able to maintain a lifestyle that makes sure that we don't ever have to count calories. And we want to make sure that you also don't have to do the same. What you want to make sure you do, though, is that you can still count things, but we want to count macros and not calories instead. You don't want to worry about tracking your food. We're going to talk about meal plans that make this real easy to be able to do, to where all you've got to do is just track when you're going to go to the grocery store and purchase those things that you want to do for that particular meal plan, and that's the only tracking that you really got to do. Now, it's not to say that you don't want to track. Like if you want to track and it creates accountability and you absolutely work that way, then by all means track. Track your macros, track what you're doing in terms of a calorie expenditure based on an exercise program that you want to do. Track if that's what you do to maintain the accountability piece. I personally don't care for it, so therefore I'm happy with following this ketogenic lifestyle. And so there was one particular study that actually showed that there was about 2.2 times more weight loss with people on a lower calorie restricted low fat diet versus the ketogenic diet, meaning that almost 2.5 times as much weight loss in the ketogenic group as there was actually on a calorie restricted low fat diet. And so it's really important to consider that we don't want to be slaves to food. We want to eat food so we can live, we want to eat food so we can live, not live to eat, if that makes sense. Okay. There is actually good protein intake. I mean, folks, our body is a pretty good amount of protein. 60% of our body is about water, but there is quite a bit of protein inside of our body. And so it's really important that we make sure that we actually get the amount of protein in order to be able to keep our muscles and our tendons, operating efficiently, especially because of the muscles around the heart and various different muscles throughout like our digestive system. They're super important that we're making sure that we eat protein. A low fat diet doesn't really capture, the amounts of proteins that you actually get. So, okay. So we have this state that I'm going to shift gears now here for a second and talk about, diabetes and pre-diabetes. Diabetes, every single time I hear this word, I always think of this really, I'm going to end up like, really dating myself a little bit. But I remember a commercial with Wilford Brimley on it. And he's like, "Hi, I'm Wilford Brimley and I've got diabetes." And so I used to just laugh every single time when I was going through school when I heard the word diabetes, because it just always brings that commercial to mind. Needless to say, diabetes is a growing issue in our society. It's because of the fact that we just really have a very poor diet. We eat lots of processed foods. We eat lots of fast foods, very high salt foods, and we don't stay very active whatsoever. So ketogenic diets have been shown to actually help you lose the excess fat, like we talked about before, and be able to lose the metabolic syndrome and also help adjust your blood sugars and get them more normal. One study I found in particular actually says that this concept called insulin sensitivity, that a ketogenic diet improved it by about 75%, which is pretty impressive because most people may not be diabetic, but they might be getting into pre-diabetes, which means they're having those beginning issues to control their blood sugars. But if you can attack it right then and there before it becomes full-blown diabetes, we have a much better chance to actually ensure that this person never ends up contracting or creating the issue of diabetes. All right, so we got some other health benefits that we want to talk about, right? There's been studies that have shown improvement with heart disease because of the fact that your labs can change, like triglycerides can be reduced. HDL levels can actually go up. Your blood pressure can become controlled. There's studies that show that ketogenic diets, doctors are using ketogenic diets to slow tumor growth. Cancer loves sugar. And so when it gets that boost of sugar into the system, it can go crazy. Alzheimer's is now actually being considered with a ketogenic diet. Epilepsy, Parkinson's, polycystic ovarian syndrome, even brain injuries and acne are being shown to be positive, being benefited positively because of the ketogenic diet. So a lot of the research is still working out. I actually just recently got an inbox message from Medscape that was talking about this concept of not only the ketogenic diet, but also talking about something called intermittent fasting. Let me just talk about intermittent fasting really quick. Intermittent fasting works well with a ketogenic diet because what you're doing is you're already sort of, you're not starving yourself per se. So it's not a diet where you're going to feel hungry, but you are technically starving your body of those sugars. And so therefore they have to get their energy by other means. And so intermittent fasting is this period of usually about 8 hours during the day, happens right around lunchtime, and you usually kind of can eat through 6, 7 o'clock at night. And what you do is that from that point forward, a 16-hour period, you are actually not eating anything except for maybe some, drinking water. And so what you do is you wake up, you can have something like a coffee with some sort of fat in it. A lot of people refer to that as, the trademark version is called a bulletproof coffee, but you add in some different types of fats into a coffee, kind of gives you that little bit of a boost, and then you're able to kind of get yourself into, lunchtime. Once you get into lunchtime, you consume your 75% fats, which are good, healthy fats, your 20% protein, and your 5% carbs, okay? And most people, what that ends up being is if you want to be on a ketogenic diet, about 20 grams of protein a day or less for those who really want to be on a ketogenic diet, okay? So here's some of the foods that once we get started, if you're wanting to do a ketogenic diet, first of all, comment below. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. I know I'm talking super fast because I just want to get this out there. It just feels like there's so much wonderful information I want to get through that I just want to keep it short and sweet, and we'll expand this as necessary. So like I said, comment below, let me know, give me a message. Definitely make sure that you subscribe to our channel because I'm going to totally talk about more diets. I want to bring you as much content about diets as I possibly can. And if you subscribe, you're going to get it. So please make sure that you do that. So here's some of the foods that you want to avoid, okay? Make sure that you avoid sugary foods. Duh, right? So like, it's impressive that a lot of us don't understand that, like, because we grew up with it, we think it's okay. But like soda, fruit juice, folks, fruit juice is loaded with sugar. A lot of them actually add sugar to it just to make them even better. You got to watch out for those high berry style smoothies. They like to add sugars to those too. And of course, cake, ice cream, candy, all those desserts, your traditional desserts, although there's some really amazing ketogenic desserts that we can definitely talk about in future videos as well. Got to watch out for grains and starches, okay? Those aren't necessarily great because those complex carbohydrates turn directly into sugar inside the body. Any type of fruit. We can't eat fruit on the ketogenic diet, okay? Mainly vegetables only. Watch out for beans. Beans like peas and legumes and lentils and chickpeas actually have natural sugar in them. That's what gives them a good sweet flavor, but we just have to watch out for that because they are processed in the body like sugar. You can't eat potatoes, sweet potatoes, carrots, parsnips. Reason being, once again, sugars are inherent in those vegetables. That's what makes them taste good. And of course, potatoes and sweet potatoes are full of starches. Low fat or diet products, they're going to be high in carbs like we spoke about already. Unhealthy fat. Let's talk about unhealthy fat are your vegetable oils, okay? Your mayonnaises, your prepared foods are going to be higher in what they call not trans fats, unsaturated fats. Unsaturated fats are just simply this. Usually in a saturated fat, that means that you are looking at, wait a second, I said that wrong. Saturated fats means that you're going to have this cool little backbone and there's going to be plenty of little hydrogen molecules on it. That's a saturated fat, meaning that there are no more other little hydrogens that can go onto this carbon backbone. That's what makes it a saturated fat. What we want to get is healthy fats. Healthy fats are going to come from things like, avocado oils and coconut oils. Those are the things that we use to cook with. And so what those are going to be is those are going to be really good, healthy fats that are going to support a ketogenic lifestyle, okay? Watch out for excess alcohol. Matter of fact, if you want to actually stay in ketosis, you may want to avoid alcohol altogether because it really, the sugar alcohols inside of the alcohol can throw your body out of ketogenesis. And so I always jokingly say that, it might be good to celebrate with a drink or two once you break through and do a ketogenic diet for a little while and then jump right back into the ketogenic diet. Okay? Here is the majority of the things that you should be eating while you're on the ketogenic diet. High quality meat. Folks, this means sustainably raised. This means grass fed. This means, watch out for any grain. A lot of farmers out there, in order to increase the yield on their meat, will add grain to the animal within the last couple of months before they take it for processing. And when they do that, it changes the actual composition of the meat. It puts more marbling in it, but the downside is that it puts more carbs into it as well. So we want lean meats. We want grass-fed, sustainably raised, preferably organic, whenever you can afford and be able to do it. Stay with that, okay? You can eat ham and sausage and bacon and chicken and turkey, okay? You definitely want to be eating more fish on a ketogenic diet. So look for your salmons, your trouts, and your mackerels, okay? You want omega-3 whole eggs, all right? We'll talk about omega-3s and omega-6s at a later time about how important those are. Excuse me. Butter and cream, got to be grass-fed, coming from grass-fed dairy cows, okay? Unprocessed cheeses, nuts and seeds, healthy oils, like we talked about, coconut oil, avocado oil, things like that. Eat avocados until the sun comes up. Avocados are a great healthy fat that help keep you full and help you be sustained while you're doing the ketogenic diet. Then you got low-carb veggies, so like you got green veggies like tomatoes, onions, peppers, and then also condiments. Make sure you're using salt and pepper and just really good healthy herbs and spices, okay? So I don't want to necessarily get into like a ketogenic meal plan, but we will go ahead and post something simpler in the description about a ketogenic meal plan that you can actually use. It'll take you all the way from Monday through Sunday, okay? Here's some snacks, okay? Because we might have some breakthrough moments where we feel, hungry, if we will, kind of like when we're first getting started. And so what you want to do is you want to just simply chew on some meat or fish. Eat a little bit of cheese. Have a handful of nuts. Of course, avoiding those ones that you shouldn't be eating. Have some cheese and olives. Eat a little bit of dark chocolate, 90% or more. So it has to have the cacao, has to be in excess of 90%. Have a full-fat yogurt with some cocoa powder. Celery with salsa and guacamole, and then maybe even some leftover meals. So we want to make sure that you don't accidentally kick yourself out of ketosis. There's a couple different ways to actually ensure that you stay in ketosis. One of the most simple and most commonly used ones is that you can get these dipsticks. They're urine dipsticks. that will actually measure the amount of ketones that are present inside of your urine, which gives you an idea about how your body is inside of ketogenesis as well. And so all you have to simply do is just like a lady would, urinate on a pregnancy test. You're going to urinate on a dipstick. You give it about a minute or two, let it fully react with the chemicals that are on the stick. And then all of a sudden you'll know where you stand in terms of how much ketones are inside of your urine to give you an idea of where you stand inside of your body, okay? Eating out on a ketogenic diet, you just got to watch for, these little things. Keep it simple. What we do is we actually will do a bunless burger. We'll make sure that we actually add avocado. We'll do more like a salad. Anything can be converted these days. A lot of restaurants are really becoming hip to people with these alternative diets, if you will, and allowing people to make these swaps and these substitutions and usually not costing you anything more. It's pretty awesome. So when you first get started, okay, you're going to have something that has been referred to as a keto flu. When you get a ketogenic diet started, you're going to feel sluggish and you might feel junky. And the reason why is because your body is starving for sugars between usually about days 2 through days 5. And your body is just going, I need sugar. Give me something. I don't know what's going on. It's your body's making a transition, okay? You're going to have lower energy. You're going to have maybe reduced mental acuity. You're going to probably be hungry. You're going to have a couple of sleep issues, nausea, digestive discomfort, and maybe some decreased exercise performance. So what you need to do is probably do a lower carb diet and work your way into the 5% in order to get yourself used to it, especially if you're like a carb eater where, you want to eat like half a bag of chips or something like that just because you're hungry. You just need to make sure that you are supporting that to get yourself down to where you're going to be able to be in ketogenesis, okay? So there's been a lot of controversy, if you will, about added salt into your diet. By all means, I'm not saying that you need to eat a lot of salt on the ketogenic diet, but what you might want to do is because of the fact that your minerals and your water is going to be imbalanced for the first couple of days as well, you may want to go ahead and take a small pinch of salt and just pop it into your water, stir it around, and go ahead and drink that, because that will actually help support the metabolism that you are actually looking for, okay? Let's see. So there are some supplements also that we use for a ketogenic diet. We got this really great supplement. It's an organic MCT oil. You can add that to drinks or yogurt, and it actually helps increase the ketone levels, and it actually helps support you from being able to be not hungry when you're starting out. Okay, coffee. There are studies on coffee now that are showing that like coffee is actually beneficial to the body. Too much of a good thing is still a bad thing. And so therefore you want to make sure that you limit yourself in the amount of caffeine that you actually use. I usually only drink 1 to 2 kind of 8-ounce cups, maybe in the morning, and that's it. Okay. Add some whey protein to increase your daily protein intake as well. Okay. So a couple of the questions that come up, like, if I go on a ketogenic diet, am I ever going to be able to eat carbs again? Of course you will. We don't always say that you have to stay on a ketogenic diet. We use it as a way to say, all right, we've sort of hit another plateau. Why don't we go and do a ketogenic diet for like the next 30 days? The reason why we do that is because we want to go ahead and kick off a good, healthy regimen again. There are some people who could start the ketogenic diet and say, you know what? I don't really want to ever eat carbs again. And so, you just got to realize that when you do eat carbohydrates, even in the smallest amounts, you may in fact kick yourself out of ketosis, and therefore it might take you a 24, 48, or 72-hour period to kind of get back into it, okay? Yes, you can build, you can build muscle on a ketogenic diet, okay? You absolutely can. The amount of protein that you eat should be anywhere between, like we said, starting off at about 25, you can go as high as 35, especially if you're like a bodybuilder or an endurance, person, a CrossFitter, if you will. Totally, entirely fine to be able to do that, okay? Do not get weirded out. Another big common question that we get is, why does my urine smell kind of fruity, or why does my breath smell fruity? Well, that's because of the fact that that is the natural aroma of a ketone, okay? That is actually how ketones, in fact, smell. And so therefore, if you want to, drink some naturally flavored water, get some sugar-free gum, or use some peppermint oil and drop it in your mouth in order to get rid of that smell in your mouth, okay? Ketosis is okay, not to be confused with something called ketoacidosis. Ketoacidosis is something that actually happens in uncontrolled diabetes. And those are the life-threatening situations, is when somebody is in diabetic ketoacidosis. That is a real big issue. If you're in ketosis and you're doing it in a controlled way, this could be a very healthy lifestyle, okay? So I just wanted to give you the basics about what we do in terms of our ketogenic lifestyle. I got a couple of really great books that will have some really amazing recipes, and we'd love to give some shout outs to these folks, you know, in terms of these books that we get from them. And also, I want you to understand, like, I am not prescribing the ketogenic diet. These are my opinions. These are not something that, like, I want you to go out tomorrow and immediately start the ketogenic diet. I want to give you all the information that you could possibly use to make your best decisions for you. All right? If you want to improve your metabolic health, you want to lose weight, read more about the ketogenic diet, okay? We got a great article on our website to be able to check that out, okay? If you want to build large muscle and be an endurance athlete, ketogenic diets may not be for you, because you may want to have the additional carbohydrates to have the longer, bigger exercise times that you're going to need, okay? It is definitely a very powerful tool. It just might be something that we need to do research. We'll answer questions. You can comment again below, subscribe to this video, and we will make sure that we give you all the support that you can need to make the best decision that you can. So first book that I've got here is by Christina Kopp. And she did a wonderful job of actually, this book is called Made Whole, and she actually makes this an anti-inflammatory book. When you look at different diets between what I now look at as the spectrum between the paleo diet and ketogenic diet, you know, even with the autoimmune protocol being in there, it's really important to see and understand that those three diets help reduce total inflammation in the body, because usually processed refined foods cause immune reactions inside the body that cause people to have increased joint pain, increased back pain, you know, things like that. And so therefore, if we can reduce the amount of total inflammation in the body, we're going to end up feeling much better. We may even have some breakthroughs where we can actually get out and go do some functional movement during the day, because now we're not ridden by this, like, you know, really inflamed body. And so Christina Kopp does a great job of briefly explaining what good fats are, what the protein, or excuse me, what the paleo diet is, talking about different types of foods you want inside of your pantry. And then she has like 145 different really great recipes in here that are mainly ketogenic in this book, but they are absolutely fantastic. And we love to adopt those all the time. Funny thing is that because of the fact that we are farmers, actually, let me finish with these books. We'll finish with a couple of great ketogenic books that we have. This one's by Dominic Kemp and Patricia Daly. Really fantastic book as well. Lots and lots of amazing recipes in here. Really beautiful pictures and great step-by-steps to be able to make these changes in your own lifestyle, okay? Also, again, going to have some really good information in the beginning about like what the ketogenic diet is about, how to eat low carb, and all those sorts of great things too. So that was the Ketogenic Kitchen by Dominic Kemp and Patricia Daly. And then the last book, which I accidentally put here, is the Ketogenic Cookbook by Jimmy Moore and Maria Emmerich. This one, same thing. This one includes some really phenomenal desserts as well. And so you can see really great full photo pictures of their recipes and everything like that. Really simple, easy to follow on one side, picture on the other side. Phenomenal book as well. Okay. All three of these books, the Ketogenic Cookbook, Made Whole, and the Ketogenic Kitchen, literally sit right by our kitchen, because we always love to throw in these low-carb meals at all times. And then if we're staying ketogenic for a period of time, we just pretty much follow these, and they make it really, really simple to follow. One of the things we also talked about was eating non-processed cheeses. Well, we've got Nigerian dwarf goats. And so we want to make sure that we are looking at the way to create sustainable, healthy animals in order to be able to ensure that we get unprocessed cheeses. So, some people will take the extra mile if they're out on a farm and try to create their own raw milk or try to create their own, cheese from that raw milk. And so, those are the types of things that we additionally do. Then it's just something fun that we love to do as well. So anyway, that's the nuts and bolts, guys. That's Ketogenic Diet 101. Hopefully that was able to put some things in perspective for you. Like I said, subscribe, comment, give us likes. That's how we know that we're on point with the material that we're giving you. And we just want to make sure that we're going to keep going. I'm going to talk about the paleo diet probably in a future live stream. I'm going to talk about the autoimmune program in a future live stream. We want to make sure you are educated on the diets. That way we can help support your weight loss and wellness goals. And so with that being said, I appreciate you guys, and I will look forward to seeing you again on the next live stream. Take care now.